downwards. It's not about the question. It's not about the it's not about the question that is facing you. It's not about the equation that you have to use. It's about the diagram that they presented to you. Whether it's physics, whether it's mathematics, you have a graph, whatever subject it may be, it's not about the question and the equations that you have to use. It's not about the final answer. It's about understanding the diagram. It's about the vector diagram. It's about the free body diagram. It's about the graphical method. It's about sometimes, even if they give you a weight problem, you have to put it down in a diagram. Even if for something like, let me take you to a subject like financial mathematics. It was easy at first. It was just one paragraph. Someone goes to the bank, they take a loan, calculate how much, calculate A, calculate P. It was just one sentence, two sentences, you substitute in grade 10 or in grade 9. But as you go, you will see now when we get to financial mathematics, even a diagram will be necessary because there are a couple of things that's going to be happening. So you're going to have a story of someone went to the bank now and did what. After 5 years, they returned back and did what. And then they spend the money on what. And then after 7 years, they did this. And then 2 months ago, they also did what. And then they say calculate, So now you're already lost in the stories because what do they mean? The investment. So now you create, we'll put a number line, we'll call it a timeline. We're going to put a number line, which is a diagram, which is the structure, and interpret that situation in that timeline the way it happened. So we don't care about, we already know how to use the formula. Like, look, today we're going to talk about, it's just a closure of that incline question, because I realized with the incline question, a couple of you were still struggling based on gravity acting downwards, because I said today it is for physics anyway. Actually, since I said it is for physics and I'm still on mathematics, let me switch to the physics one. Let me do this. Sorry, I have to do this. I have to.
Simplified, or a set of guys who makes it looks easy. Your number one learning channel. Ooh. Ooh.
Because I composed that song myself, bruh. I'm so proud of that song. So it has to be it has to be out there. But now we are switching to the physics. So I'm opening that question, the one that we are doing now, which while I'm opening, I was explaining what it's not about the question itself, it's about the diagram anyway. So yeah. Okay. This type of a question is the one. This one is a bit interesting because we have two scenarios. Again, looking at this question already, your mind will be activated, Hori. I know this for some of you. And the moment your mind gets activated, Hori, I know this. I'm giving you a scenario of the scenario of a final exam is like when you are participating in a marathon. I know some of you play sports. So there's that day when it's a big day when you are playing an external school or something. So that performance has to be like outstanding. So when you put all your efforts, so there's a lot of things involved. Sometimes you get nervous because you don't know how the outcomes are going to be, and so on and so on. when you write your final question paper, you become excited when you page through and you look at the paper, or you look, maybe the funny thing is, it is those objects that attract your eyes before you even answer the question. The first, when you open it, when you page through, the first thing you see is the object. And when you see your object, your mind gets excited. Hurry, at least I've seen that before. Mara, with physics, you know, hurry, it's tricky. You can look at the object and feel like you've seen it before, Mara, when you're coming to the actual stuff, and then you feel like, hey, these things, they are not coming out. They are looking me outside. And you're trying everything you know, but the answers are just not making sure. And somehow you have to write something and submit. So hence I say, it is not about the question. It's about the diagram. Before we even look at the question, what it says, let's zoom into the diagram ourselves. Before we even read what the question is about, let's look at the diagram and see what do we see. There's something about this triangle before they even say anything. Like this triangle, we can see it as an angle of 15 degrees. Someone would say it's a right angle triangle. Yeah, it is a right angle triangle. And we can see from point A to point B, it looks smooth. Like the line, the way that, like that object, it's on top. You can see the object is 25 kg. Obviously, that's a detailed information. Mara from point A to point B, it looks smooth. Mara from point B to point C, there's some dotted nyana, something nyana, meaning there could be something going on there, you see. But we don't know. It could be a printing error when they were printing the paper, but we're not sure. We are just observing the object, all of it, to own the object. But now, on the object itself, I have to allow my mind to see a couple of forces that are acting on that object. I must, before I already, you know, at some point, I'll have to draw a vector diagram. And since at some point I have to draw a vector diagram, I have to allow myself to see some of the forces that are acting on that object. Does your mind allow you to see that? Yes, no, maybe. Yes.
Yeah.
My biggest fear is, if I was to say, let's draw the vector diagram and we send it to each other, I know a lot of you might even create some things that don't exist from the object. But today we're gonna do this one together. Maybe the other one, the one that you're gonna do, I'm gonna try to give you maybe something to do that relates to this after, which you can try for yourself just to boost your confidence. But let's look at what's going on. So here's the story. A crate with a mass of 25 kg. So we already seen that crate is 25 kg when we were zooming our object. It slides down a plane which is inclined at 15 degrees to the horizontal. We know that we understand the whole concept of horizontal inclined, or if it was inclined vertically, because we have the horizontal axis, we have the vertical axis. So the horizontal axis is our x-axis, the vertical axis would have been our y-axis. So during the first part of the motion, here comes that explanation of the smooth and the dotted. During the first part of the motion, from A to B, there is no friction. So it was a frictionless from A to B. The crate, oh, no. Okay, let me just take it from the back. During the first part of the motion, from A to B, there is no friction between the crate and the plane. But part B, C has a rough surface, meaning now there is some friction. Now, you must be able to allow your mind to be able to draw both the vector diagram when there's no friction and the vector diagram when there's friction. But unfortunately, based on the question, they want us to draw a free body diagram of all forces acting on the crate while it moves from B to C, meaning on that rough surface where there's now friction. Now, let me ask, if I draw the vector diagram at that point, I'm going to draw it from here, but I want us to discuss it maybe for those who see the picture. Do you think, okay, do you think how many forces would be on that vector diagram, at least? Just the number of forces that would be there from B to C.
Wait, no. Applied, static.
Okay, applied, static.
So 4.
4. Here's the thing. I'm going to show you both ways. It could be 4 if you want, but if you make it 4, it means okay, the crate is sliding down. Let's highlight this part first. I heard you saying whispering and you said applied. I don't think we have an applied force here. There is no applied force. It is just sliding down the plane. No one is pushing it. It is not being pulled. It is just sliding down.
It would be
Yes.
kinetic, I think perpendicular weight.
Yeah, all right. Do you want to draw it? Do you want to draw it here, somewhere here?
Sure.
Just a drafting. Given that being wrong is okay, we're fine with that. Just a drafting, yeah. Are you struggling with the pen thingy? Okay, let me throw it. You'll tell me. So we're gonna have this. I know obviously you're gonna have the normal force, right? And it's perpendicular to the object.
Yes.
And then the next one, to which direction do I put the friction?
Friction to right or the
Like this. That will be my frictional force. And then the weight must act exactly downwards. That's how it is. But because the weight is acting downwards, so if you draw a vector diagram like this, you get your full 3 marks. Now, another person can draw it like this, they would get the same marks. But if you choose to draw it like that, I'll show you. Someone could draw it like this and say, this is my normal force. You would still get the same marks. And you say, this is my friction. And you say, this is FG parallel. And you say, this is FG perpendicular. You'd still get the same marks with both, because now the FGs, they represent one thing, which is the weight. You just throw it accurately. Because at the end of the day, that 15 degrees, it has to play a role. And also, we know that normal force acts opposite to the gravity. So according to this, that 15 degrees angle, I would like to ask for guys, where do you think I'm going to put it? But I know, Hore, someone might even try to put it here, because we always used to get the diagram to look like that. But if you put that thing there, it means you are saying it is opposite the frictional force. And it's not about that. This time around, the normal force is the other way around. And I'm saying this because we are used to int lines that are in this direction. And then they would put an object there. And then for int lines that are in the direction, we end up having the normal force acting to that direction, and then the weight acting downwards, such that the triangle ends up being there like that. That's repetition of what I'm saying. But how you put your angle, you put your angle aligned with the normal force. So you go to the normal force, you join the normal force, because that's the direction which gravity was supposed to be acting on if it was not in an incline. So that would be your FG perpendicular. Yeah, I think I made the other way around also myself here. I made vice versa because FG perpendicular should be to that direction. So let me fix here. This was FG perpendicular according to the object. This is FG parallel according to the object. So that's why I say we must allow the object to control us, not our knowledge. So you see, Hori, with the inclines that we used to, which are facing the other way around, we would have gone wrong and maybe produce FG perpendicular here. But the moment you produce FG perpendicular here, you are saying FG perpendicular is acting opposite to the frictional force. Do you see what I'm saying? So I hope you do. If you don't, I would hear someone complaining. So now that 15 degrees, it becomes here. And then because of that, F perpendicular would be here. So would have, I mean, F parallel. Would have F parallel here. We haven't even answered the question, but we are using our full knowledge to this. So F perpendicular, if I was to put it on the point, it would be in that phase there. So I mean F parallel, if I put it FG parallel, if I put it on the point, it would be in that phase. So the reason why I say both, they would be correct. If you use this one, you don't have to show these things. You just throw the way you know forces act. So you just show normal force to its direction, frictional force to its direction, weight to its direction. I once asked you guys, do you know what's the difference between free body diagram and vector diagram? Because most of the things in physics, Joe, physics, like the boring thing about physics, it's the language also. For us, who speak a lot of vernacular at home, when we approach physics, it becomes a problem also with that English, because that English doesn't mean big things in reality, but the words that they use is like, hey, you must open a dictionary. Someone would come and say magnitude. How? Magnitude. Why don't you just say the value of what? So the problem with this thing is the language. So free body diagram and a vector diagram, it's more or less the same thing. The difference is that with a vector diagram, it won't state what type of vector it is because we have different vectors. But a free body diagram, it's about forces mainly. So free body diagram shows the direction of the forces, but forces are also vectors in a way. So free body diagram is also a vector diagram. Don't worry about the mix up of the words there. That's how it works. But anyway, as long as your diagram is perfect, no answer formed against you shall prosper. But it's a Sunday today, in the name of Jesus. No, no, no. If your diagram is correct, I'm telling you, you will see. But for the sake of marks, either you choose object red or you choose object green, you would get 5.1 full. Mara, to get it full, just for the sake of the marks, to get the marks like full happiness, go and say N on the side or under the object. And now we are learning how to answer the question also exactly as the teachers would like. You don't want your teacher to trap you anywhere to say you are wrong. So you say N is for normal force. Small f, you don't have to say kinetic friction. You can if you want, or you can just say frictional force. You're still right. They know, because so far they haven't mentioned kinetic or static on the question itself, although we know the type of friction we have because we are no longer grade 10 students. We know how the things are like the way they are right now. And then W is the weight of the object. By doing that, there is no way they can measure you even 1 mark, because now you showed all the 3 forces, 1 mark for each, but you also named those forces. If you don't want to write, if you don't want to name them on the side, you can name them from there and say normal force, weight, frictional force. Because sometimes it shows you know exactly what you're talking about. Because they mark you from the naming with reference to the direction of the vector. So vector and naming half mark, half mark, half mark, half mark, half mark, half mark to get to make it 3 marks. That's how they normally do these things. So I hope the vector diagram part. And another thing, when you look at the marks, you feel like the opening question in physics, the opening question determines everything that's happening in that question. So as I say, whatever we'll do will depend on our free body diagram. Whatever calculation we have to calculate will depend on our free body diagram. That's what we focus on. So same as continuation of yesterday's preaching, Yahore. It's all about the diagram. It's not about the question itself. We don't worry about the question itself because we know the question we have done these things. We have proven we can answer some of these things in the past for us to get to the grade that we are at right now. So it's no longer about those. So now we stick in our, like we wanna have strong analysis rather than memorizing things. So let me just refinish because after you have the free body diagram, for you to work properly, I have to bring these things back because they will be necessary for us to calculate. So FG perpendicular as well as FG parallel, and then as well as our 15 degrees, because they will matter on the next question, I can tell, because we have to calculate the magnitude of the acceleration of the crate while it moves from A to B. The magnitude of the acceleration. And when you already know in your head that F net is equals to MA, hence I say it's not about that. It's not about F net, it's equals to, so you know that F net is equals to MA. And this question is not really about the acceleration. This question is never about the acceleration or the mass. It's always about that F net. So you need to find your resultant force on the horizontal surface. You need to find your total. You want to know all the forces. So the punchline of the question, the way I say it's from your vector diagram is because the important part is this part. Because that side, you know, the M is always going to be 25. Acceleration is just acceleration. But if you get the part of the F net wrong, it messes up everything. And for you to get the part of the F net correct, it depends on how your diagram is. And if your diagram is wrong, everything becomes wrong. So in terms of F net, the forces that are pushing, like the forces that are supporting the acceleration, they are already in the horizontal plane. So the direction of where that thing is going. So in the direction of that where that thing is going, what are all the forces that are acting there? Anyone have a suggestion? We only have two forces. Remember that other vector diagram of mine? It was like this. The one I said it would also work, Mara. So it had FG parallel, FG perpendicular, and frictional force. So you can see, Hori, the dimension that drives the motion is this dimension. So meaning my F net is gonna be, this is how I'll write it. And then I will pause for a moment to see if everyone understands. F net will be FG perpendicular, which is the forward for FG perpendicular is acting to that direction because it's that one. It's acting forward. So it's gonna be FG perpendicular. It's gonna be FG perpendicular minus frictional force is equals to MA because there is no applied force there. Mara, you are not memorizing. You just had the diagram. From the diagram, you are just taking the information from the diagram and place the information in the formula that you already know, that F net is equals to MA. Let me let that sink in, digest this part. If you think you don't understand what I'm saying, I'm going to repeat it again. No one is stuck yet, ne? No one is not seeing we all see what's happening, ne? I don't want to
Yes.
leave anyone behind. All right. So you see, in support of what I'm saying, it is not about what they ask in the question. It's about how neat your diagram is for you to understand it yourself. Mara, it's not just for you to understand it yourself. Even the person who's marking you must be present. So with our free body diagram, on that object, we only draw the red part only. The other colorful part is for you. You still have to show it on the side, pencil how on your scribbling book. But the other part is for you to have that triangle, to can know. You know why that triangle is important? Because we have to explain what FG parallel is using that triangle. And again, someone would say FG parallel is cos, and then FG perpendicular is tan. It changes depending on where the triangle is. So back to my reference. Remember, like I say, for cases where we have an incline in this direction, and then our vector diagram becomes normal force that side, gravity, this obviously gravity will be acting downwards, so gravity would be there, and then your triangle end up being there, such that this would be your FG parallel, this would be your FG perpendicular. Like some of us, we just memorize to write FG perpendicular, you multiply it with cos, FG parallel, you multiply it with psi. But it's not even about memorizing. It's about your maths. Your maths, you know that if you wanted to include the FG parallel side, if you wanted to, from this triangle, if you wanted to include this side with this side, which is our W, you know, you can only use sine because it's a right angle triangle. So you would say sine 15 degrees is equals to opposite, which is FG parallel, opposite over hypotenuse, which is W. So you are not memorizing, you are just using your trigonometric identities the way you know. Therefore, when you cross multiply there, because everything is over 1, when you cross multiply such that you multiply this by this, therefore FG parallel becomes W sine 15. So that's why the thing is. So we're gonna go substitute there. So for FG parallel, it's gonna be W sine 15 degrees minus frictional force is equals to MA. But, you know, somehow, the reason why it's 4 marks, where do you think we're going to get our friction from? Because I'm thinking, I don't think we have any information regarding the friction there. Any suggestion? We do have our intervals. Because we don't have the friction, the thing there. Flip. We are calculating the magnitude of the acceleration of the crate while it moves from A to B, not B to C. So we don't need friction. So we need a different vector diagram. The one without frictional force. Because from A to B there was no friction. Do you see that? So the story changes. From A to B, there was no friction. If I was to draw the vector diagram from A to B, it wouldn't have frictional force. It's the same diagram, but without a frictional force. So it would be just normal force, FG parallel, FG perpendicular, and weight. So it would just be like that. So it would have only forward force. So from my formula to calculate the acceleration, I can change them. So F net is just gonna be, in this case, F net is just gonna be FG parallel is equals to FA. Because there's no applied force. Because there's no friction also, we just remove the friction. Because from A to B, there was no friction. So you see, guys, that's why I'm saying it's not about F net is equals to MA, it's about the diagram. So now we're in the wrong diagram. Already we're getting lost because we're in the wrong diagram. Our diagram is for B and C, the one we draw based on the question. But the question now is based on A and B. And A and B, there was no friction. So on your diagram, which has friction, you just remove friction. It becomes the body diagram for AB. So from here, that's when you would have MG. Okay, let me say W first, so you can see where the MG is coming from. So W sine 15 is equals to MA. But we are calculating acceleration, so I can divide by by M both sides because I like to make the thing we're calculating subject of the formula. So therefore, A is going to be equals to mg sine 15 degrees over M. And from here, you can even see the M and the M are cancelling because it's not about the mass, it's about the actual, but yeah. So we can, let me just leave it from there. You can substitute from here. Let me not cancel the m's. Let me just leave you to enjoy the 25 degrees. So I'm gonna say 25 times 9,8 sine of 15 degrees all over 25. But we know the maths, they're dividing. But anyway, let's quickly calculate what would be our acceleration. I'm gonna write the value here. So it's just 9,8 times sine 15 degrees. Do you get 2.54 meters per second squared?
Yes.
Yes, that would be our
Yes.
acceleration.
Yes.
2.54 meters per second squared. Again, I proceed with my preaching. Do you see, Huri? As much as we got this thing, and it seems like it's not even like a matter of hard work or not. Mara, without a proper diagram, without a proper body diagram, we wouldn't get these calculations right. And now already all the things that you were learning in the previous grade, it's just the maths to work out here. Those maths of dividing, cross multiplying, whatever. That's the maths that you learn for other things. This type of questions now, you are learning how to answer real situation related problems by analyzing them. And you are telling yourself, me, I'm not memorizing. I'm going to draw the correct vector diagram and then I'm going to get the thing right. So whenever you practice, don't focus on, do I know how to use the equation for F net is equals to MA? No. Tell yourself, for it, I want to master how to draw different types of vector diagrams. So, and when you practice, don't go for the vector, after you have vector diagrams that you're starting to master, or whether it's body diagram, it's free body diagram or vector diagram that you're starting to master. Don't stick to the ones that you know. Challenge yourself with the most complicated one. Show all the forces that are acting, get it wrong, then send it to me. And then we discuss it. Mara, focus. Like, there's no any other way. We can lie to each other, do one-on-one lessons, 50,000 one-on-one lessons. But at the end of the day, the moment you feel like, you know what, I'm tired of getting these things wrong, or I'm tired of the pressure of school, I just want to get things right. You're going to go to, you know, whether it's mathematics, whether it's physics, it's about the object, it's about the graph, it's about the image, it's about, even if the image is not there, you have to create it yourself, because there are questions without images. If the image is not there, you have to make sure whatever they are saying on that paragraph, you draft it down to create your own image. Because after you create an image, you may need to add more forces on that image for whatever answers that comes after, for it to make sense for you. We're good, ne? Great. Moving forward, I don't want to remove everything because I think we might still need the vector, the free body diagram. I can't wait to finish this lesson, guys. I'm so hungry. But it's one of the, you know, as I was busy teaching, I get I'm hungry. So my woman was making something to eat, and then she just opened the door and did a thumbs up of saying food is ready. So my mind, oh, my mind, it's stuck on. I don't know, maybe we don't love food the same. But for me, the only thing that makes sense in life is food. Because, I mean, life is not that nice. Just food, man. Write down the direction of the acceleration of the crate while it slows down from B to C. Write down the direction of the acceleration as it slows down. When something slows down, what would be the reason in terms of the acceleration? When something speeds up, clearly it would be the opposite. I think, wait, okay, let's just prove for you guys on the other side, you are still on. I'm not taking alone. You are there, ne?
Yes. Yes.
All right. I just want to make sure. I just want to make sure. I do it myself sometimes when I'm on those meetings which they are boring. I do mute my thing and just sleep or mind my business. And it's a bad thing because karma, things can get back to you because now other people do it to me where they just mute and mind their business. And I'm like, it's not even about that. I just want to make sure, Hore, we are just not wasting the time completely, because otherwise we can do this other time if you feel you are tired. The direction of the acceleration as the object slows down from B to C. Slowing down is a result of someone applying maybe brakes or because of the friction. But if it slows down, it means acceleration is moving to the opposite direction. We call it decelerating, because when you press, for those who drive, when you press acceleration on the pedal, it accelerates, so the speed increase. When the speed slows down, it decelerates, meaning it is moving to which direction in this case? How can we name the direction exactly? Up the slope or down the slope? One answer. You don't need to support your answer.
Down.
Up. That's the reason why it's slowing down. So the car itself is slowing down because acceleration is acting to the opposite direction. So it's going to eventually get to zero. So it's not accelerating anymore. It is decelerating. And decelerating is to the opposite direction. So it accelerated from A to B. So here is how it works. Let me explain it like this. So from A to B, since there was no friction, the acceleration was just going forward. But then because of the friction and it starts to slow down and then it decelerates. So now it acts to the opposite direction through that part because it's slowing it down. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Yes. So every time something slows down, just know that acceleration is negative. Every time you are driving at a certain speed, or every time an object is moving at the moment it slows down, just know that at that moment it's slowing down, acceleration is acting negative. And you can prove it. Let me give you an example. Suppose something was moving with a higher velocity here, which is 5 meters per second, and then it slows down to 2 meters per second. When you calculate acceleration, you always say it's final velocity minus initial velocity over change in time. Your final velocity is small, minusing a bigger value. It will always result in a negative, regardless of what time was. So that's why when something moves from a bigger acceleration to a smaller, when something moves from a bigger velocity to a smaller velocity, it's always decelerating because the final velocity is smaller than the initial. So it's always going to result in a negative number. So you are not memorizing, you are stating facts. Although they never wanted a reason for this one. But you get what I'm saying with this. It's just we are avoiding, we are trying to create a new thing of we are not really memorizing. We are using our understanding to make sure we're breaking down this thing the way it should be done. Ne? Don't worry. If more and more of this type of communications or this type of lessons, they will build you strong understanding, because some of the questions when we do one-on-one, you wouldn't ask because you don't touch those questions. But when we do lessons like this, we do even things which we wouldn't touch probably. Because sometimes with the one-on-one, I listen to what you are saying, but sometimes we should learn just things that are not necessary, like, and the best way is to combine both. Do this, you go by yourself, you dig in information, you come back with questions. So when we have one-on-one, we're going to have proper conversations because we know we have perfect foundation of those things. But this one is not really a foundation. I was just showing because normally I picked up for those whom we did this type of a question, the incline always come the same direction, and repeatedly we've been having inclines like this, like the triangle is always like this. So it's like when they twist it the other way around, it looks confusing in terms of the direction of where FG parallel, whatever. But anyway, we'll get it. Let's just conclude the final question so I can eat, bro. The magnitude of the net acceleration from B to C. If no, they're telling us the magnitude from the net acceleration from B to C is 1.2 meters per second because it has reduced. Calculate the magnitude of the frictional force acting on the crate. I don't know, it's 4 marks, right? And you are calculating the magnitude of the acceleration, meaning we must bring the acceleration. So, we must bring the friction. The only way to bring the friction is to bring that situation where we had made our mistake by showing the net forces that are acting from B to E from the main object. So now we're going to show the net forces that are acting on this. So F net is equals to MA. And F net is FG parallel minus frictional force is equals to MA. Then it means to calculate the frictional force, it would be minus F is equals to MA minus FG parallel. And then if I divide by negative, because I want it to be positive, it means frictional force will be FG parallel minus MA. Before I substitute, FG parallel is MG sine 15 minus MA. I'm going to take it to the left-hand side just for the space, ne? I don't want to write on top of. So from the left-hand side, I want us, the important part is on the substitution here. I want to show you something. So here we'd have F is equals to M is 25. That space is small there. Let me just use a more visible color or red. So F is equals to, if I take the M out as a common factor, I don't have to. I just like to play with the maths, and I know some of you don't like maths, but 25, 9,8 sine of 15 degrees minus, I will write the other part here, minus M, which is 25. And then what is the value of my acceleration?
1,2.
But the direction which it is acting at matters. So you don't put it as 1,2, you put it as minus 1,2, because the previous question we just said it is acting upwards because it is decelerating. That's why that question was important. They put it there to remind you. So when you substitute it in the formula, you substitute it as the direction of where it's acting. So remember, in physics, negative represents direction. Not all the time is negative subtraction in physics. So you put it as minus. That was the part that I wanted to pick up, that I wanted you guys to pick up here. It's very important. Substituting there, let's quickly calculate and confirm our values. So all the time, you must be sensitive. The reason why they start us with vectors and scalars go grade 9 and 8 and 10 is because it matters here. So that I always say, another thing, another aspect of mastering how to answer past papers or how to answer exam papers J is to know what sometimes the previous question matters. The previous question leads you to the next question. The previous, whatever information you got from the previous question is useful for the next question. Because a lot of you, I know you are going to substitute the acceleration with a positive number of 1.2, although you said it is moving up the slope, the previous question. Whereby negative in physics represents direction, positive in physics represents direction, but sometimes also for calculations, we have a plus and a minus. When you guys calculate, do you all get 93.41?
Yes.
That's our frictional force. 93.41 newtons. That's our frictional force. I swear, man, if you can tell yourself, you know what, from today onwards, I'm changing my thinking. It's no longer about, because look, you can't force yourself to understand everything. Mara, you can target on that one thing that unlocks everything. So it's always about the diagram. It's always about the free body diagram. It's never about really the question, or because the things that are happening on the questions, you already know them. But the problem is that equation here, F net is equals to MA. This part is dull. This part, there's no complication to it. This part is dull. I mean, it's just acceleration and the mass. The only way it could change, it would be a case which it can barely happen, where the object, if an object was this, another object was added on top here, which is in a form of momentum, and then they move together such that you can just add the masses. But it's dull. It's mainly just about the mass and the acceleration. The part that people are losing marks from is to break down FNet of the scenario of whatever object they have. Because from FNet, that's when the umbrella decides which forces are you including, which ones are you taking out, so from that part, that's where you lose all the marks. And then remember, it happens from 5.2, then from the moment you get everything wrong, such that if maybe your vector diagram had one mistake in yana, then you get from that 12 marks, you end up losing maybe 10 marks from something which you have applied that thing before, you have solved questions like that before, and you got them right in the past. And all because you are chasing how to use FNet is equals to MA and getting the forces right, instead of just chasing, let me get the right object. It's going to lead me to the correct answers. So that's the preaching for the day. If you guys, you have like some smaller questions on the side, after I had my lunch, we can do a few minutes there and there. But otherwise, I know everyone is preparing for tomorrow and still will be working tomorrow anyway. So it was just that thing, at least in a day, let's do something. But I still have 2 grades I need to cover, like grade 9 and then maybe from 6:30 I'll be free again. But eventually, since it's a Sunday, we might end up in being social, and then once I start to be social, it's late for me to come and sit by the microphone. Because if you don't want to see, if you can 2 or 3, if you think I talk too much now, if you think I talk too much like this, if you can 2 or 3, I'm 10 times this. So I can teach a topic and go out of topic because I always go out of topic anyway, even here. Mara, imagine now if I can go like that and then go to Lenyana Gadi 2 glasses, 3 glasses of wine. The next thing could not even be wine, it could be black label. I'm just saying it nice, but sharp, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day there. But if you have anything serious, you're gonna tell me on the side. So before I socialize, I will attend to you.
No problem. Okay.
All right. Cheers. You can log out. It's fine. We're gonna talk again.
Sure.
Okay, so now that we are back to everyone who's watching from YouTube, if you want to join our lessons, you are welcome. All you need to do is just to send us a WhatsApp on this number that I'm going to say it out loud right now. Actually, I think I should display it here. I'm going to prepare something like this, so when I talk about the number, it's going to be displayed somewhere here. So the number is 081 465 2676. That's 081 465 2676. Send me a WhatsApp on that number, and then you will be part of our academic. So what we do is we learn throughout. We don't, like, unlike the way tutors do, like 1 hour 50 rand. It's not about that for us. It's like we have a fixed monthly fee where we learn throughout to help our students become fine academically. So the displayed lessons is just pushing of what we do aside. So we have one-on-one lessons as well as group lessons, and then we just learn consistently and we learn awesome stuff. So if you feel your child is struggling, or you feel you wanna continue with your maths yourself, or you are in university, you are struggling with mathematics, feel free to contact us. Me and my friends, we will assist you, because we are Simplified RSA, the guys who makes it looks easy, and we simplify everything for anyone, every time, anytime. That's it.
Simplified RSA, the guys who makes it looks easy.